So again, the only thing that we probably haven't talked about in this class is Python, which I don't know Python either. I didn't write this part of it. Professor Kat Sullivan of IDM did the Python script, but essentially it is a word lookup, find and replace. There are these blend shapes that Apple ARKit is looking for, and if we rename the ones that are in Make Human and Fuse, then ARKit will drive those blend shapes, and that's the simple idea behind it. Is that it's not Control F but Control H, which is history inside of this browser, but a text document is find and replace. That's the first snafu in this tutorial. So we're going to start with Fuse real quick. Made quick dude with skinny legs, and dude with skinny legs is here in Mixamo, rigged and ready to go. We all know this right now. That's fine. Okay. The one key thing, if I could circle the screen right now, would be facial blend shapes enabled. Anything that's made through Fuse can have blend shapes already. I think by default, if you've never been in Mixamo, it does say disabled at first. It's more data, it makes a bigger file size and all that kind of stuff. And then we could do a standard skeleton for finger for all 5 fingers on both hands. Cool, we're going to use this character, and then we'll download it because it's already going to be in a T-pose. We're good to go. And I'll try to simultaneously go through this document so it's you see how I'm working through it. Here's kind of the contents section, the order in which it comes through. And again, as I said, if you want to make the app itself, the app already exists inside of Unreal. This is the one that renders the face tracking. But literally, not literally, but if you go through the process of turning this one that's called Simplified, this is an iOS app that builds straight to your phone. Right, so this is the mobile provisioning. This is the map you would load up. You would say project settings, and I want to, when I build something, I want it to be the simplified one, which is this game default map. And then you would say file, package project for iOS. You can only build iOS apps on a Mac. So there's ways around it if you're a hacker, but you have to have Xcode installed on the computer. I've tried making virtual machines. I've tried remoting into other things. You have to be on a Mac to make an iOS app, right? But the thing that's keeping you from doing this is me doing it right now, besides not being on a Mac, is that you have to do all the certification stuff inside of your Apple developer account, and this is what I have detailed steps for. Anyone done iOS development? Yeah, so it's tedious. Just give you a heads up. That's why I don't want you to go through it. But this is how you would do that. You'd import these certificates that you get from the Apple developer website, and then make it executable. This is the level that we use for actually playing along and connecting the two together. Okay, and going back to this. So once you have it already install your phone, which I have right here, you'll be able to install your thing and connect it through Live Link. So first, Fuse, we've got this, right? Maybe I should have added a hat. We don't have a hat. That's fine. We're right here right now. Make sure that facial blend shapes is enabled and that 65 fingers is fine for basic movement and that you bring in the T-pose. Okay? If you haven't already done this process for the character you're probably using, we might see if we can re-import it. We might have to start again if we didn't already enable blend shapes. Okay, it was part of the screen recording, but it might not have made as much sense back then. So once you have these blend shapes, you can bring them to Maya to take a look at them. Maya is the most straightforward. All digital content creation tools can look at blend shapes. So here's my Teen Template 2 and Maya. Anyone in Maya Whiz in here? No? It's intimidating. Sometimes it won't even open. There we go. So when you open up Maya, it has different workspaces that kind of change what all these what are called shelves look like. So by default, it's probably a Maya Classic or Maya Animation. If I bring in my character right here, just drag it in. There it goes. I think I might have put it in twice. Give it a second. Okay, so it's processing all those blend shapes, and that's this loader at the bottom left. Give it a second. Just want to make sure I didn't bring it in twice. Calm down. All right, we only in here once. So this is what it would look like inside of Maya. And if we go over here to this workspace and we say sculpting, it automatically shows us all the blend shapes. And this is the way the Fuse names them. If I go into my character a little bit closer, I can see that there's a couple of groupings of blend shapes. It's actually in there potentially twice. Let's see. So what does frown left look like? Nothing there. So one of these, only one of these groups are ones we need. Let's see. Let's look at browse up right. There, you see that? So these blend shapes are already kind of made for us by the software. Let's see what blink looks like. So I think I added this in twice. I'm just going to start a new scene real quick, and we'll start from scratch to make sure there's no errors. And what we need to do is, what's interesting with Maya is that has anyone ever seen an FBX ASCII file, or know what that would mean? So you can actually from Motive export an FBX. What's a binary is normal style. ASCII means it's human readable. We can use it to do analysis. And Maya, because Maya is a scripting engine, which is built in here in the bottom right. If you want to script Python or script what's called a MEL script instead of Maya, it's actually you can program things in there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to save a Maya file as a text file so we can run it in Python and change the names. That's essentially the idea. So we have to prep this for a quick second. First, we need to find out which of these groups is important for our character, and I think it's the last one. Just make sure that, like, frown left, which one of them works is we want to keep. Let's find cheeks puff. So it's not this one. Cheeks puff left. There we go. So we want to keep this groupings of them right here. So I'm going to delete this one, and I'm going to delete this one. These are the only ones we need because all these do stuff. Eyes wide, right? And now these are the names that Fuse uses. If you took a look at that SDK, which I think I already closed down, you see that Apple uses camel case. Right, the first word is usually lowercase, and then the uppercase for the following words. So that's the majority of the changes that we have to do for this process. If I come here now, this is exactly where we are here in the documentation. Here's our blend shapes. We've identified the one that we need to rename, and we need to rename it to blend shape mesh. And again, when I release this will all be automated. And why I'm doing it for you. So coming here, that's now called blend shape mesh. That's what Unreal is looking for to import morph targets. Going back to documentation. So there are 3 that are separated out that we need to merge real quick. This is again something we're going to automate, but we're basically looking for these browse outer. You don't need them, but this gives more features. So we're looking for merging browse outer lower left and lower right. So I'm going to search for browse outer. And here's the left and here's right. I could just select them both. I need to make sure they're on, so I'm merging the morphs. And I say merge. We're going to do this 2 more times. And then now that they've been renamed, we're going to go ahead and rename them the Apple style. So, cool. So this one is now just called this. We could actually go through and manually do this and make it work with ARKit if we wanted to, but I'm trying to automate this process for not doing it 52 times. So the next one is mouth narrow, right and left. Merge those two. Turn them all the way on. Merge them. And then rename them pucker. And I should have turned the other one off, but bring it back down. Otherwise, we exported it as on, and it doesn't need to be. What was the other one called? It was browse. The last one was called brow inner. Let's bring it back down. And then one more. Cheek puff right and left. There we go. Merge these two. Turn them on first. And then give them the name of cheek puff. And then turn it back off. Alright, so that's the extent of the prep work for the Fuse character. And we can go back to Maya. And actually, we're going to be running a script, so it might be easier for us to be working from, like, put all this stuff in one folder. I am going to work off my D drive, and I'm going to create a little root folder so it's easier for me to find emerging technology through storytelling. Maya, just going to say save scene as. And down here, there's two different kinds of Maya files. A Maya binary, which will be the default, which means if you right-click it, you couldn't open it in a text document. But if we save it as an ASCII, it purposely saves it so you can actually run scripts over it, so that you can do like kind of procedural stuff. I'll now put this in my folder that I just made, which will do data, our class, and then this one's going to be called we'll call it teen for Python. Save. Student version, yes, I understand. Wait for it to save. Cool. And now we're ready for the little Python script. So there's actually two things. There's a Python script, and there's that lookup table for that CSV that we have. Let's see where the CSV is real quick. Going down to the scripting section. This is make human steps. Python scripting. Okay, so here are the two CSVs. If I'm using Fuse, so I'm going to download this CSV, and this is literally just something that we manually said. We went through every single shape and said that one actually should equal this one. This one equals that one equals that one. Download it. Going back. And then the Python scripts. Download it. Then move those over to my new thing. Fuse comes in here. I already downloaded it once when I was testing this earlier, so Fuse. And then it's still downloading Maya scripts, Python scripts. Let's see. I already have them from before. And there's 4 files in here that you have to keep. Bring them all in. All right. So everything is ready to run the Maya script to do the blend shape rename. We're going to have to do this in our command prompt. If you are not familiar with Windows command prompts, you can actually we need to bring this up to an administrative level. You don't have to do that for Mac, but on PC, we need not just do a command prompt. We need to make sure that it has administrative rights. And then we need to change the directory so we're dealing with these scripts right here. This is in a different drive. I put it in my D drive. So first, I don't know if you guys have done this. This is what I had to do when I was in like 7th grade, is learn how to like navigate DOS. No one anymore? Okay. CD stands for change directory. CD / goes back to the root of C. D is D colon. There we are. You can also, when you're at the root of a folder, just copy and paste it in. Or drag it in. I did it from the root. Well, it's a DOS format. It says change directory to CD's change directory. Again, this is all written out. So now we're inside this folder. I could have we'll keep it like this for right now. I want to run runme.bat. So runme.bat. Super hacky. So it's reading this my file, reading this CSV, and doing the find and replace. The only thing I've seen about this is that what we're doing is we're downloading a bunch of dependencies, and there's a thing called, if you ever used Node or whatever, there's a thing called pip, which is Python package installer or something, package installer Python. On the Mac version, I had to actually update the versions, and that's something I have the code in there, but this should be how it is on Windows and Mac, is that straightforward. We now have this teen for Python is actually a new file. I don't need the old one. And I could double click on it. Student version, yes. And all the ones that are relevant have been renamed to the camel case. There's more, again, infused than you need, so or that Apple doesn't address. So some of them are the previous kind of style. And then the one thing to note is I already did this, showed you this, but make sure that this is blend shape mesh, otherwise Unreal won't understand the names. So this is ready to go. Take this file, and I'm going to export it. And this doesn't matter where I put it. I'm just going to put it on the desktop and say T-morph2. The default settings for me included blend shapes, and I think it should for everyone. Just right there, you can always double check that it brings out exports blend shapes. So this is now an FBX. This can be called Teen Morph, and it's on my desktop for now. This is ready for facial capture. Okay. The thing I want to do first, though, is I want to bring in some animations from mocap first, and I'm going to use offline files for that, which is the thing that we addressed with the individuals in the class this week. So I'm going to open up Motion Builder as a little. I want to make sure that I have my facial blend shapes first before I add on my motions. And now open up Motion Builder. And then I have my favorite take of mocap I've ever done that we'll use to retarget. It's from my friend named Robert, who works his butt off in the mocap studio. So we're doing the offline workflow. We don't have to worry about devices for right now. We could stream this live into Unreal, but we'll do that as a group next week more. This is just offline. So the first thing to do is bring in your character first, because ideally if you're doing a lot of a big project, you would do your character and add a bunch of different motions to it. Open, no animations, T-pose, good. It's X-ray mode. And we need to tell it that it's a biped. We need to make it a character of note. Seems to be labeling all the morph targets too. Here's the hips. Some people I talked to about namespaces. All Mixamo characters are called Mixamo hips, prepended on every single bone. Sometimes you want to make this a little. This is additional. you can add and remove namespaces, and I could say take all the Mixamo rigs and rename it with a new one called teen and apply to all of them. So now, if you can see here, every single bone is now called teen something something. That's just a namespace. That's a 3D convention, right? And then characterize. Here are my characters. Oops, I can't see it yet. I can always just go to the hips. If I can find them. Now, I'll do it the old way. Scene, there's my hips. Biped. Cool, this one's ready. There's a character named character. If I was doing a bunch, I would invest the effort to rename this so that it's called teen or whatever makes sense to me. And now let's bring in the mocap, which is my downloads. One of the downloads. There we go. Now this is a take file that has been exported to FBX. One thing to note is that when you have an FBX export, we're recording at 240 frames per second. You don't need that much fidelity once you're done with data cleaning. I changed that to 30 frames per second. I can remote into OptiTrack to show you that, but it's just the only setting I change is I only need 30 frames per second. You're not going to mess anything up. It's just a bunch of additional data you don't need. So this take is at 30 frames per second. And so Robert's in a T-pose. Robert's skeleton is in a T-pose. But the T-pose is for the cameras to recognize him as a human being. It's not for retargeting. In retargeting, I can now take his entire character by selecting his hips and then the branched them out. Robert hips here at the bottom. I'm going to select the branch, select everything. And this is the only thing that's different from doing the OptiTrack's live stream methodology is I have to zero out the rotation. Now he's as stiff as a board. All right, so now they match up, and Jushin, you could have just done 0L rotations, and it would have turned them all the way around facing the right direction, and it would have put everything in a perfect T-pose, right? Sometimes you want to add in different postures. You can actually alter this T-pose a little bit, and it accentuates certain kind of movements. That's totally a thing to do for taste later on. This thing still needs to be called a character, so I'm going to characterize it. And again, the OptiTrack streaming automatically characterizes it, and it doesn't need to have a perfect T-pose. You have two characters called... This is actually... What I'm going to do is I want to preserve my T-pose. So I'm going to take this take and make it a T-pose, and I'm going to make a new take that I'm not going to use the data from, and I'm going to rename this one Robert's Dance or Dance. And then going back to the character, I want the character to be driven by the source of another character, and we say active. There they are doing the thing, but where's my dance from Robert? 1 second. Let's find out what I did wrong. Let us bring in Robert's stuff again now that I'm in a new take. Oh, because I didn't copy over the data. That's right. So we're just going to get rid of this real quick and pretend like I had already made the take. Select branches, no harm, no foul, and delete. Now that I made the new take and I'm ready for it, let's merge in Robert. I want to definitely zero out all the rotations before I characterize it. Select branches. Zero out rotation. And then characterize it. Cool. And then teen is being driven by the dance. And he's going to town. He is just, this is a long take. And this is the problem before. I think that was I didn't include it in the last week. This is still being driven by the previous. This button called active means it's actively being driven by the other source character. For us to move on, we need to plot it to the skeleton of our other character. There is the idea of doing control rigs, which is the inverse kinematic editing, but we don't need to get there just yet. But it's there. But we're going to choose skeleton. Default settings are completely fine. It's going to go through. And now this active button has been checked off, or unchecked. Go ahead and delete the characterization. Yes, get rid of them all. I don't need Robert anymore, or I could bring another take from Robert later on. Select branches. Delete, confirm. All right. So now we've proven that this take is on this character because it's the character's only thing in the scene. Then I can, we'll do save as, and I will embed media, which means both takes will be inside of this FBX. And, or if I want to separate out different takes, I just click that. And then on my desktop, it's just called Teen 2. I feel like I have to put the word Teen Wolf 2 to reference Jason Bateman. Yeah. And there's the names of the two takes when I import them in. Saved. For this week, it might be easier just to get the face idea because there's so many presets already selected for this project. Go ahead and on your computer, if you're going to be doing this, or whatever computer you're using, if you use the one in the mocap studio that's already installed, go to your Learn tab. And make a project in 423 for face AR sample. We can then migrate this into everything else we do, but it might be better to start off here. I have that project here. Assets, skeletal meshes. There's my first one. Here's my new one. Teen 2. Bring it in. And I've already altered the setting on this project, so it's by default. Sometimes it spits out a little error message for bone names or something when you're doing fuse characters. This means use frame 0 as a reference pose. Look at the T-pose that's before time starts at frame 0. So that's been checked off. The other thing we're doing now that we've never done before is we're importing morph targets. That will be unselected. We're selecting it now. And go ahead and import animations. We can bring in the animations along with the skeletal mesh. Teen Wolf 1. Jason Bateman with Teen Wolf 2.
Oh, fine. Tyler Posey was the show, so
I didn't know there was a show.
yeah.
This is a super long take, so it's going to take a little while to compress the keyframes and bring them in. Bad but in a good way, or bad in a bad way?
That ended up pandering to the gays, and that was how it went. Like, obvious product placement, NCD. Had nothing to do with the exact features you could still end up right on the map, though, so that's good.
It's 2 animations, or hopefully doesn't do this for every single bone. And this is why you want to reduce the amount of keyframes to 30 frames per second. So while this is doing its thing, if you guys give me your files, don't give me the FBX exports. Do like the dot fuse file or the dot make human file, because I'm gonna that way I have more control over it. So this one's a dot fuse, or the make human would be the file save. What is this? It's a .mhm. Give me those two so I can open them up inside of these and export it correctly. I'll add that to the text of the homework assignment.
Is there a resource on how to export it directly?
Yeah, it's all in this document.
Okay.
I'm just going step by step over the document. So now we've brought in our Teen Wolf 2 dance animation. So there's Robert jiving. If we need a T-pose, we got a T-pose for our own reference. It's 5,000 frames of a T-pose, which is stupid. And let me go ahead and make sure that his face isn't too horribly distorted, because that would be very scary to do facial capture with an inverted face. So we just need to change it from translucent to masked. So I've got my bespoke animation for motion capture, I've imported into Unreal, and then I've got my blend shapes available for me to do live motion capture with. Save this. There they all are. Which one's he? That's the one. Again, change it to masked. That's the next script to write, is to fix these automatically. Doo-doo-doo.
Is there a way to treat the animation?
Yeah, totally. You can do it when you import it. You can do it before you export it. There's multiple ways of doing it. I think you can even do it while you're in here. Remove the frames before and remove the frames afterwards. Yeah, there's tons of ways to do that. Used to not be, though. Used to not be. Keep it telling you how things are these days. This is the first frame of that animation. Let's put it back into T-pose. And so if we look, this is the first frame. I should have brought him in as a T-pose first. He's a little distorted. So now we have all those different things. We have, it's just compiling the shaders. Materials aren't always assigned to things like being able to be blended by morph targets, and it just kind of changed that. It's written in yellow, changing morph target, be available to morph targets. That's also something like, if I searched right here, I can say morph, used with morph target. So what it just did was when I used it, it checked it off automatically for me. Anyway, so while it fixes that, we go back into our project, and all the blend shapes are created correctly, and we've proven that they all kind of work. Awesome. So just like we did before with LiveLink, we find the asset and we create an animation blueprint. ABP Teen Wolf. And then we hook up the LiveLink. I'm going deep undercover. And I'm going to save all. And I'm going to put it into this scene. What the scene has going for it, and the reason why we're going to piggyback off this is because it's starting ARKit, essentially at the beginning of Event Begin Play. We're doing a face tracking session, and it's going to start ARKit. I'll teach you guys how to migrate this later on. So here's Teen Wolf 2, animation blueprint. Rotate. Bring it over here so we can see it. Ready to go. then on this computer, I'm using a thing called Air Server. You can do this with an iPhone pretty easily. And I'm just going to let you see what I'm doing on my phone. Scan this QR code. Say great. Close it. User experience. There's my computer. You can see my phone. And this is the app I made. Here's my settings. By default, it actually doesn't show the debug. It just shows this guy. But I changed it to debug mesh, not to distract. And then we just have to connect it to our computer. So our target is our IP address. IP config. And there it is. It's the one that's on this Ethernet adapter. So it's not Wi-Fi, and it's .1.28 because I saved it also. And I say connect. Over in Live Link, it says it's already on. It's already been set up, so it's ready to go. Let's see if it's already working inside of here. It's not working. I think it's too dark in the room. Yeah, if you don't mind just for a second. Everyone close your eyes. All right. So here's one I just added in. If he works, and they all work. Well, that one's not working. Watch this. I'm going to delete the one from previous because I'm thinking they're like stealing each other's networking. Let's see. Oh, I have to say what subject it is, and it's called iPhone. That's all. So now it works. To some degree. Oh, I hit the play button. Oh, there we go. All right. So that gets us started. That's the idea. Is that and then of course we can have our animation could be doing you just add another live link if you want to bring it in live from OptiTrack, but you can also just drag in an animation from before, like my dance. Let's see if we can. So now he's dancing, and I can perform as him. Doesn't help if we can't see the face. Let's do it my style. Let's bring in a camera. Parent the camera to Teen Wolf. Put it on his head. Rotate it around. Bring it up. Actually, zero that out. Bring it out. And then make this the default camera for the scene. I don't know if that'll work. You can always pin it. So there, that's called like a snoz cam. Like, ever see the movie Pi? What this does not have is eyes moving left and right. That's additional step inside of Unreal that we won't get to do today because you guys have Well, you have time. I mean, it's in the document and everything. If you go to here's our blend shapes we imported in. If you go to animation tab, we would have to bring in a couple of more, or not import. We have to actually create it inside of here. This skeleton has eyes, bones.
Skeletons have eyes.
All right. So if I look at Homeboy, I can then make them look up and down. And basically, I'm going to be creating these morph targets inside of Unreal. Oh, sorry about that, guys. This is like a human anatomy class, right? So, all right. So if you look at our kite boy is what this guy's called. Kite boy head. What they've done is, in addition to the Apple ones, they've created this list of other ones that are called. I just used I blink, I look down, I left, and you could see that they are using that rig to. Wrong one. I look down. Oop, wrong one. I look in. Yeah. So basically, let's see real quick. The documentation, and I haven't done this in a month or two, is if you want to keep on going, once you're inside, that's the importing, that's looking to see everything looks right. It says bonus points. You have to create a pose asset and then create these different targets. And we can work on that later on. For right now, I think this is a good enough slice of what to do for 1 week. So for you guys, if you want to go through this process, the Make Human one ping pongs the asset actually over to Blender to export. So it's a little bit of a different step, but it's, again, I've gone through it all. If you need any help with that one, I can do an additional tutorial for somebody. And essentially adding in 2 plugins so that it can export to a file called Make Human Exchange. If you go to Make Human for download for Windows, there's a thing called a nightly build, and it includes all these plugins already. I don't think they have the nightly build for Mac. So this alpha release, it will have all the plugins already installed if you want to do that Make Human. Otherwise, again, I do it step by step in the instructions. And whoa, it finally did the thing. So yeah, just give us your assets. I'll take care of the Python script. If you want to run it, do it. I'm around for help. And just if you guys are meeting up tonight, I'm sure everyone has more time in front of the computer before they get into Mocap Studio. But just find a person who will check it out for me every night and return it the next day. And then I have it during the day. And then I have a bunch of battery packs to keep it powered, so everything should be good. And the idea is just to import it into Unreal, have an animation, and just have it playing around the scene. So this, to make things easy, this Face AR kit has all these plugins. It has a lot of the steps already turned on. If you want to continue working in your level, I would put this on your computer and migrate your level and scene over to this project, and then everything will just work like that. If not, just show me that you can do face recording in the scene. You can do it with screen recording, or you could do it live in here and just hit the record button, and that will also save into Unreal somewhere. And it not only saves Unreal, but it combines both facial capture and body capture at the same time. The so the motions are being driven by this asset that's already been created for you in this project called It's what's in the level blueprint.
So we cannot like specify what character.
Oh, you could totally do different characters with different faces. Yeah. Basically, each phone, it's part of the settings. Is this still up? This is sending out a. Let's see real quick. That's debug values. Each one is going. Each phone would come in through LiveLink, and you would give it new names here, and those LiveLink names are then attached inside of your pose right here. So with this drop down, I would see two different phone names here, and so one character would be driven by one phone, another character would be driven by another phone. I only have one phone for the lab for right now. To do two characters, we have to get a second phone. It just happens to be that Grant, who works with me, happens to have a phone with us installed on for right now. Does that answer the question? Okay.
I was just confused because everything was showing the same position. So is one controlling the other, or is it both connected to the?
Yeah, they're all connected to one phone for right now. But I can open up this guy's live link and have him driven by another phone as well. ARKit comes into picture if you want to make the app, and in receiving the app's data. That's just naming it for what the software development kit is designed for. It's just looking for those blend shake names. So we're piggybacking off the thing that's already been built.
What do you migrate if you want to go to your level?
So if you want to keep you want to use this level because it's or this map or sorry this project, you want to migrate over your assets.
Yeah.
Migrate over your level.
Migrate your level.
Yeah. Into this project. That's what I would do for now. There's already one over there. If you want to continue to migrate things over to that project or you want to make your own, that's fine. But this one already has a lot of these other checkboxes already selected. It makes it a little bit quicker. Again, I haven't had a problem with migrating that and making it work because ultimately we're going to actually be using a project for the by the end of the semester called the virtual camera. And that one's also a Learn tab. And this is where we use an iPad connected to a motion capture system to be our camera for everything. And this is the one that involves the most plugins. So we'll end up migrating whatever from here over to that one. That's why I wanted to kind of address migration early on in the semester. Cool. So let me know how it goes. Again, I'm around. And I want to make this easy. So give me just the characters you want, and this is just the idea is not as much about doing a write up this week as more of just like go through the process and let me know where the pain points are. Next week is the week we'll be tying this all together. So get as far as you can, and let me know what doesn't work, and then I can make sure that it's all addressed by next week. Cool. All right, go have fun.